So with all the current hype surrounding the new adaptation of Stephen King's It, I thought I'd take it upon myself to expose it for the horribly mediocre, boring, cliche horror flick that it is. Immediately you are thrown into this horror story without knowing the first thing about any of the characters, and yet you're somehow still expected to give a shit about what happens to them. They were all so fucking one-dimensional. You had this annoying little gay kid whose only defining trait was that he's a hypochondriac, and his entire character arc was just him learning not to be such a germaphobe, and there was nothing else to his character. Bill had a stutter. The fat kid was fat. Beverly was a girl. I don't know who these two are, and I don't care. In terms of character development, this was as far as the movie dared to go. In terms of actual horror, well, there was none. That is, unless of course you consider being bombarded with horror cliche after horror cliche, jump scare after jump scare, and scene after scene of Pennywise morphing into a spoopy, scary CGI monster and screaming to be horror. Like, holy shit, I am terrified.
It's a celebration.
If you've ever seen a horror movie before, then you should pretty much be able to call every single fucking one of these jump scares in your head like a minute before they happen. The truly terrifying things are the ones that are the most subtle. It's things like not knowing where that noise came from or what's hiding under your bed, and it's why good movies like The Babadook are so effective and why shitty movies like It aren't. Because when you already know everything about the monster, what it looks like, where it came from, and why it's doing what it does, it takes away the mystery and therefore ceases to have anything creepy about it left. You can't even mention this movie without someone commenting on how great the child performances are.
Let's talk about the kids in this movie and the performers. Across the board, they are phenomenal. It's always kind of hard and a little awkward to hate on kids performing in movies, but gratefully, I don't have to. They're all really strong.
Like, yeah, the child performances were totally possible, but they did absolutely nothing impressive.
Guys, I can't do this. My granddad was right. I'm an outsider. Gotta stay that way.
And not to mention the children swearing for comedic effect shtick that I was subjected to for the entire duration of this film. I swear to God, every time one of the kids said fuck, the entire cinema degenerated into a sitcom live studio audience. Like, this is a legitimate reenactment of my experience as an audience member.
Fuck. What the fuck is that?
Where the fuck did she go? Where the fuck are you? We're not playing hide and seek, dipshit. Oh, fuck.
Oh, thank fuck. Not fucking touch me!
There are so many great movies where child characters swear nonchalantly and the film takes it seriously rather than presenting it as a joke. And while of course it can work to have child characters swearing incidentally for comedic effect in your film, it is not a comedy, and this kind of shit doesn't work in its favor. The bizarre tonal shifts between horror and comedy were just as nonsensical as they were jarring. It's like this movie couldn't decide what the fuck it wanted to be. One moment I'm watching a 5-year-old child having his arm ripped off and being eaten alive, and next it's like I'm watching a Netflix summer camp children's film with a modest budget.
Fuck you, bitch!
This movie is an awkward, plotting, cringy, poorly paced, poorly planned mess about a bunch of thinly written characters and a boring plot device villain that does literally nothing other than look creepy for the entire duration of the film. If this film has one saving grace, it would be its high production value. If this movie were the exact same thing shot for shot and the only difference was that it had a tenth of its budget and was released on Netflix instead, then it'd become just another one of those instantly forgettable dollar basket DVDs that you pick up at the grocery store. It's plain bad at worst and just okay at best, and you people really need to stop praising it as some modern cinematic masterpiece and come to terms with the fact that it was shit.
It's a celebration. Celebrate good times, come on. Let's celebrate.